Levi here can do a pistol squat on one leg pretty well, but he has a lot of trouble with the other leg. Okay, so right away I can see that Levi is definitely having some trouble with his ankle mobility, and this is something I see a lot of people having issues with. Alright, so the way that I'm going to address this today is to start working on improving Levi's ankle mobility by using the Modified Lunge and the Frogger. The reason for these two exercises is related to how I like to teach the pistol squat, from the ground up. Now, as you can see, this is going to further improve ankle dorsiflexion while strengthening his legs in this bottom position. All things that people have trouble with when trying to learn the pistol squat in the traditional way by only working from the top down. Now, typically for the lunge stretch, the focus is on the hip flexor. But in this case, we're going to bring our focus down to the ankle in order to work on the in range and improve the dorsiflexion of the ankle. Now, when you're performing this stretch, all I want you to think about is trying to keep your heel on the ground. He's going to pulse into the in range by bringing his knee forward 5 times. Here's 3, 4, and then 5, and he's going to hold that in range. Now, might be difficult to see, but he's actually pulling his heel slightly off the ground. So rather than trying to drive his knee so far forward, he's going to back up just a bit and bring his chest up. Nice. Now pulse forward a bit and drive the heel into the ground. Changes things up. He's got a smile there. He's kind of feeling it, I'm sure. And what we're doing here is making sure that we're slowly working to that in range. Hold this for up to 30 seconds. Pulses don't need to be this large, to be honest. Thing is going to that in range, holding that in range again up to 30 seconds, driving the heel down into the ground where possible. You might find that there's a slight distance between the floor and your heel. That's cool, but over time, working to be able to get that foot flat and further improving the dorsiflexion, the angle, and in making that smaller by increasing the range of motion in this leg. Also, you can feel free to do both sides. All right, now we have the Frogger. We're taking that in range from the lunge and putting it into motion. And the key point here is really trying to drive your heels towards the floor as you're doing it. Notice here that Levi is actually starting with his heels off of the floor. And that's because he's going to place his hands down on the ground. And when he does that, if you don't quite have that squat, the heels will float. It's perfectly fine. The key point here is from this position, trying to drive the heels down. Yeah, notice his butt raised up, and that's great. He's going to start to load really slowly. He's going to come forward and jump into a squat position. Load forward and jump. This is the Frogger. It's kind of laughing because this is tough when you're doing it, but it's going to be improving that dorsiflexion, that in range, under load. And you can get in a lot of reps with this. Again, not just for that ankle dorsiflexion, but you'll be improving your hip flexor as well as the depth of your squat. Lots of great stuff that's going to help you and Levi for when we start to work on the version of the pistol squat that we're going to learn in just a second, so stay tuned for that. So one more time, placing his hands down on the ground, driving the heels towards the floor, holding that in range for a little bit, keep loading, pop into the squat. Very nicely done. Good job, man, okay? That's the version of the Frogger we're going to be working on next. We're going to take a look at my version of training the pistol squat. It's time to start working on the roll into the squat for the pistol. The reason that I really like this is because you can use your hands for support and help yourself up into that bottom position rather than forcing it. A lot of times we see people go from the top down. They don't have that proper ankle dorsiflexion needed for the bottom portion of the squat. They can fall out of it, hurt their knees, hurt their ankles, hurt their pride, and we don't want that. What we're doing here is having Levi bend his left leg. He's going to roll back and just slowly use his hands to help him into that bottom portion. He's not forcing it. He's just getting used to going into that position. The cool thing about this is that this is similar to the stretches we were doing in that by doing this, you actually prep yourself and you find yourself getting deeper into that in range. It gets smoother. You find that over time then, you can start using one arm. Nice. And then with practice over time, gradually throwing the hands forward, allowing yourself to pop up in there. Let's see if Levi's ready for that. Not quite yet, and that's perfectly fine. And remember, we're working on improving that range of motion in the in range, but also working on control. This is the other beauty about this particular variation and how I like to train the pistol is that the coordination needed comes down to how much control you have, but through having already worked on the necessary range of motion. Again, we don't want to force ourselves into any position. That's how we get hurt. We don't want that. Levi's going to roll back. He's going to use his hands to help himself into this bottom portion, okay? From here, he can start to stand up a tiny bit. There you go. And this is how you can also start to work in that strength component. So it's not that you just have to live only in that bottom position. You can start to work going up and then sitting back and rolling out of it. That was great, man. So lots of different ways you can do that. And what I mean is adjustments. Adjusting it to make it work for you, again, rather than forcing yourself into the bottom position. Got some other great videos on how to work the entire full pistol squat. Also be sure to check those out. So to recap, we assessed Levi's pistol squat and then addressed the fact that his poor ankle dorsiflexion was keeping him from properly getting into the bottom portion of the squat. We then applied some stretching and mobility work to help improve his range of motion with the roll up into the squat. How long will this process take? Well, it's different for everyone, of course, but the cool thing is that it's faster than you probably think. And by following this process we use in GMB, you'll be making improvements in a safe and effective manner.